Hi, family. Hello, family, and welcome back to our Thinking Thanks Tuesday with me, Zoliswa or XhosaChick. So, welcome back, family, to another week edition of our Thinking Thanks Tuesday, where we discuss current affairs, news, online news, news which were trending, news which were making a buzz, and so on. So, welcome again this week, family. And yeah, thank you very much for all the love and the support on this channel. I really appreciate it, and thank you for all the growth. And this week, like any other week, we've got our stories. But this week, seeing that the courts are in recess, so there's not much going on in the court, so we can't really actually do our regular stories. But we do have something on Senzo Meyiwa. So let's not waste any time and get into it. So today on Senzo Meyiwa case, we are looking at Zamukuhle Mbatha. So Zamukuhle Mbatha apparently was the first person which was arrested in connection with the murder of Senzo Meyiwa. And yeah, and then he was released after 2 weeks. Uh, he was released after 2 weeks in custody because he was found that there were not enough evidence to say that he did commit the crime. Okay, murder charges against him were withdrawn by the state, citing insufficient evidence. That's why he was arrested, and then after 10 days he was released from prisons, and then the state was saying that there was not enough evidence against him to keep him. So he was in police custody for 10 days. And most people think that he was arrested because of the pressure from the public for the police to arrest a suspect in Senzo. So Zamukuhle, I think, was arrested like the year Senzo was shot, like a few days as Senzo was shot. And he was arrested at a tuck shop a few streets away from the murder scene in Fort Loras. And yeah, the other thing, he was positively identified by some of the people which were in the house. So that's where Zamukuhle Mbatha comes in. And also what we know about Zamukuhle Mbatha is that, he is suing for defamation and unlawful arrest, and that's against the police minister and the NPA. So I think they're looking into something around about a 10 million rand lawsuit, which I'm not mistaken. So that's what we find out this week on Senzo Meyiwa's case, that as much as we feel like only now things are happening, but there was a bit of a drama before as well with the Zamukuhle Mbatha. And then also the family was the one which were protesting his innocence, because they said when this whole thing happened, the guy was at home sleeping or something like that. And then he was arrested a few days or the following day, a few streets away from the murder scene. And so there's something more into this than the Meyiwa's case. So Zamukuhle Mbatha has got a lawsuit which is suing for defamation and unlawful arrest. That's what. And then the thing is now, if also those five suspects, I think, if they also are innocent and they really were not there when Senzo was shot, then they also have a right to sue the state. So hopefully whoever is there in the Senzo's case, still on trial and everything, they actually are involved. And but on the other hand, one from somewhere where I heard that this but apparently this Zamukuhle Mbatha is not really out of the blue, because should anything which linked him into the case came into being, then he will be called in again. Because the one thing which was positively identified about him was the dreadlocks, and yeah, so he had the dreadlocks which fitted the description of the person which apparently shot Senzo. I am really confused when it comes to Senzo's case, because where are the people which positively identified this Zamukuhle Mbatha? Now, when there's these new more suspects in trial, what are they saying? Because if the people which identified this Zama are still part of the trial, aren't the police are supposed to really question their ways of doing things, of the way they are telling their story, if they are able to positively identify somebody and then all of a sudden that person is let go free because there's not enough evidence to arrest them. So that's one thing I don't understand. In this current matter now, we're busy with this Senzo Meyiwa trial. How does this first arrest of this Zamukuhle Mbatha person fit in? If it doesn't fit in at all, who or where are the people which identified him in the first place? Are they still part of this trial even now? Or what happened to them? Anyway, that's what's happening with Senzo Meyiwa. We decided since the courts are in recess, let us go see what else we might find interesting. So we never really spoke about this Zamukuhle because he's not one of the 5 accused which are now leading in this whole matter. He was the first one which was paraded to us. And yeah, at that time it kind of felt like, yeah, things were really happening, because it was only a few days after the incident and there was already somebody arrested and so on, until we find out that the person is being let go because of not enough evidence to keep them for this for this case, or for Senzo Meyiwa's murder. So the person is suing, yes, because apparently the whole incident of him being arrested and of him being paraded through whole South Africa as Senzo Meyiwa's killer really affected his lifestyle, and he also lost his ways of life and so on. So that's one of the reasons why he's maybe suing. But anybody can sue if you are unlawfully arrested. And yeah, from that case of Senzo and Zamukuhle Mbatha, we move to our next story. Our next story this week was the Submarine tragedy. So this one was a bit close to home. So today, as we are late, don't worry, we're always late. It's Wednesday today. We're supposed to have the thinking thanks yesterday already. So it says a joint memorial service held for 3 fallen SA Navy officers. They were killed when a high wave swept across the submarine, carrying 7 crew members. Lieutenant Commander Gillian Elizabeth Hector, Master Warrant Officer William Marcela Matipa, and Warrant Officer Mukwapa Lucas Mujela died. That was last week, Wednesday. And that was in the SAS Matantisi submarine. Okay, South African Navy plans to launch an inquiry into circumstances surrounding the incident. Rough sea conditions associated with the spring tides made the rescue efforts a challenge, with people having been warned not to enter the waters. One of the deceased was a woman, the first female officer in Africa to navigate a submarine. So that's what happened last week from our side. We lost 3 lives, and one of the lives was a female. Was a first female officer in Africa to navigate a submarine, and the reason was rough seas. So last week already, there were already pictures. I don't know how we missed that story, but last week, one of the stories which were trending was the spring tide, where even your well-known restaurants and so on were being affected by waves, and towns like your Gordons Bay were flooded because of high waves and so on. So it was all part of the spring tide. And on the same breath, on for Heritage Weekend, the South African Navy was going to have a mini Navy festival at the waterfront, which there were going to be your typical submarine naval ships and so on. And on Wednesday last week, one of the submarine, and then there was an exercise, a regular exercise, which was being held, which happened in Komichi, which is the beach nearby, where exercise which was happening, and then the problem, apparently it's because of the waves, the high waves, and so on. So most people are questioning the time of the exercise, that was it really necessary for the exercise to happen when already the sea was volatile all along from last week already, when there were images of high waves hitting buildings, breaking into walls, high waves because of the spring tide, flooding towns and so on. So was this really necessary to happen that time and so on? And it was not like it was a must, because we're not at war. So like it's an emergency. So why did we have to go to sea and do the exercise when the sea was volatile in the first place? And yeah, with all of that, we did lose lives, and it was just a big tragedy to the family, to the loved ones, and to the people which are near and close by, to all of those which were part of that. And today there's a big memorial service which is being held by the Defense Force and so on. So to the family, condolences. So yeah, the South African Navy plans to launch an inquiry into circumstances. Apparently, there's an inquiry which will be launched. I'm not sure what outcomes the inquiry will be looking for, when the already spring tide was blamed because of the highways and the way the sea was. So maybe not, I don't know, because from the interview which was done by the Navy, it was said that all the safety protocols were followed, and there was nothing which was out of the ordinary from what happened. The only thing was the sea was rough. The sea was just not working. The waves were too high and too dangerous for anybody to be at sea. So why was people at sea during that whole rough seas? That's the only question. So the inquiry around the circumstances, will see what outcomes they will bring out, because the outcomes which we know, it's rough sea conditions, so which are associated with the spring tide. And also they say that it made the rescue effort a challenge, and there were already people which were not to go into the water. So yeah, anyway, from the submarine tragedy, we move. Also last week in our headlines, we saw the Postbank SASSA grant meltdown. So that was one of the other news which really caught our attention. It says thousands of social grant beneficiaries were financially reeling from Postbank failure to pay some SASSA recipients. Postbank said the technical glitches in the payment system Postbank said that there was a technical glitch in the payment system, and they blame the new payment switch, which failed to automatically reserve monies from declined transactions. back into accounts of beneficiaries, meaning over 500,000 transactions have to be manually reversed. At least 6.5 million people receive their grants through Postbank. The Minister of Communication and Digital Technology, Mondli Ngungubele, confirmed that the payment system challenges, which saw more than 600,000 social grant recipients not able to access the September payment, has been resolved. An official joint ministerial media briefing on SASSA social grant payment by Postbank also apologized and said that the system glitch was a result of a system upgrade the bank is introducing. Minister Ngungubelo also opted to remove the whole Postbank board after damning allegations of forensic investigation reports on service providers who have been unlawfully contracted. 3 non-executive directors and board chairperson had already resigned, citing interference, increasing hostile and oppressive attitude of the minister towards the board. So that's what has been happening at the Postbank. What happened is people which normally get their social grants through Postbank were left stranded without getting paid, without getting their monies. They had to go to the post office more than once looking for their monies, and sometimes there were no actual explanations of what really is going on. And the Postbank, which was supposed to provide the money to them from the social grant from the SASSA, blamed a glitch in the system, which was from their service provider. So Postbank service provider, which is Postbank, supposed to pay the social grant beneficiaries, had a problem. So the money comes from the social development. From the social development, it goes to the Postbank. From the Postbank's got a service provider which needs to deliver this money to the beneficiaries. So the service provider which Postbank is using had a problem, and then it affected the beneficiaries which are supposed to go collect their social grant at the Postbank, which is at the post office, or I don't know. That's what happens, and there was no actual answer for the poor people, which kept on going up and down, because most of South Africans are the beneficiaries of this social grant, and they were left stranded, and it was blaming games when it comes to who's at fault, to a point whereby Postbank board members had to resign in the midst of all that mess, whereby nobody wanted to take the blame to say, okay, it's our failure for the people, for the poor people to be left stranded and not get their monies at the end of the day. And yeah, so the board members resigned, blaming, the 3 non-executive directors and board chairperson resigned, citing interference, increasing hostile and oppressive attitude of the minister towards the board. So yeah, so maybe the minister was not talking nice to them. The minister was just on their case. I don't know how to say this, because the problem is you can't worry about interference increasing hostile and oppressive attitude, whereby there's almost 500,000, or there's almost 1,000,000 people which didn't get their monies, and those people depend on those monies, because some are old, some are sick, some are disabled, so they deserve those monies. If they do not get those monies, how are they supposed to take care of their lifestyles? How are they supposed to take care of themselves? So that's what happens when it came to the social grants and the and board directors resigning, non-executive directors from a board chairperson from the Postbank resigning. And yeah, and I hope one day, as people which don't have enough or which don't have a lot in South Africa, they can feel appreciated, feel respected, feel like they also be matter. Because the way the government treats the people which have less, it's like take it or leave it. You already don't have much, so you can't complain about nothing. So that's the attitude which the government have to people which have less than them, and which is not really humanly, because when they come and when it's voting time and they come around to these people, they act as if they do not understand, or they do not know the conditions and the standard these people are living into. Next year, they're going to go to these places which they're not delivering services to. And they're going to be shocked when they walk down the streets and people are living below poverty lines, and they'll be making false promises and prive on the people's pains and vulnerabilities, all in the name of votes, just for them to go back and laugh at the people when the people really need them. So it's not cool. It's really not cool. It's annoying, because at least have the audacity and the decency to treat people like human beings, when you know that at the end of the day, you're going to use them. Use them whereby you at least take care of them, because at least you know you need them. Not say don't use the people, because you can't change what's to be in your heart or how you feel about other human beings, but also play your part of at least take care of your even the farm takes care of its animals, because they know that I need these animals to keep this farm going. So same applies with these ministers and these people which are in charge. At least take care of your people, and then your people will be your willing and able slaves at the end of the day. Not this thing, treat people like slaves and then expect people to be loyal to you, like, at the end of the day. What are people loyal to? What are they benefiting from being loyal to you? Because that's the other thing which the ANC needs to ask themselves, that if people feel like they do not benefit anything in being with the ANC, whether they are black or anything, what's stopping them from voting for any other party which will make them feel appreciated and validated? So it's not about color anymore. Now it's about how you treat people, how you make people feel. Anyway, we move. The next story on our table is let's see, Cape Storms. So this weekend, yeah, I know it was Heritage Day, but before we go to the whole Heritage Day, I am not even gonna get involved with the Heritage. Also, we were celebrating springtime, spring is here, and so on. This weekend, we had the Cape of Storms as well. The storm sways wreaked havoc across a number of coastal communities in the Western Cape, sweeping away cars, flooding nearby homes, and caused horrible accidents on the roads. That was over this long weekend, this Heritage Weekend. So apparently, I'm not sure, 12 plus minus 12 people have died due to accidents related to the flooding across the province. 80 roads were closed, and 6,000 people in the city alone have lost their homes. Impact on informal settlements was vast. And then it says at least 8 people, including 4 children, have been killed by electrocution in Cape Town, changing homes with makeshift wiring into sight of multiplied deaths. Okay, so this one, it was, I know of the story of the 4 boys, which were somewhere near Philip or somewhere, which were also electrocuted when they tried to, I don't know whether they were walking or playing into the water, when one of the illegal electrical wires fell into the water and they were electrocuted. I think that's one I can remember. So over this weekend, we saw riverbank bursts due to heavy rains into nearby towns into your west. It was just everywhere. Let me not try to find where specifically, but it was everywhere in the Western Cape. If you look at the news, there were waters, there were floodings, there were houses underwater. It was just bad. There were walls being smashed down. So that's what we're experiencing, bad weather. And then the disaster management was on active alert the whole weekend. Even today, they're still doing the cleanup and also trying to assess and check how much damage has been done by this whole weekend, long weekend floodings. But I'm telling you, people, from nicely celebrating spring is here and raining non-stop, and the pictures which you see in other people, you just see floods and floods of water. Streets looked like they were rivers. That's how flooded it was in certain places. So, and at the end of the day, it goes back to the people which were hit the most by these floodings as well. It goes back to the poor people. It goes back to your informal settlements. It goes back to people which haven't really benefited from getting your RDP houses or for whatever reason. It goes back to the people which can't afford to buy themselves houses. Now they have to go stay in places which are not conducive for them to stay. So that's what's happening, because even if you check this electrocution cases happen in your informal settlement, whereby why didn't the government put proper electricity in that certain communities? Even was it last week or somewhere there, 2 weeks back, we saw footages of city of Cape Town ripping electricity wires in another community that was, I think it was in Philippi or something. And because the reason why those people installed those electricity illegal and so on, and the people were saying the reason why we managed to go this extremes is because you go and ask for the service, and then you are not being helped. You will be told, no, there's nothing we can do, or it's the private property, or if they will promise you like, okay, we'll come back and check the community, until the people get fed up and decide to do their own makeshift electrical connections. And then now when these floods are happening and so on, they are also dangerous because water and electricity don't mix. That's why you need somebody professional to do it. So whose fault is it going to be now for those people which, yes, we're not even talking about the floods, because the floods and informal settlements, we don't even discuss that one. Every year, every winter, there's informal settlements under floods because maybe they built the informal settlements in wetlands and so on. But this one was just something else. It was just raining heavy non-stop, and whether it wasn't just your poor informal settlements, even proper structures of houses, so houses which were flooded with water, water which was coming from houses, from doors, windows, and everywhere. So that was happening. People were underwater in the Western Cape this long weekend. So whatever bright plans they had them indoors. It was no braai and enjoy yourselves. And then we move from the coastal storms to our last story. And for today, our last story is Zoleka Mandela. Zoleka Mandela is the granddaughter of Winnie and Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. She passed away on Monday at the age of 43 due to cancer disease. She has been very open about her journey with the disease, because apparently she was an author and an activist when it comes to this cancer journey. It says Zoleka Mandela's journey with the cancer disease, which she fought 3 times, in well documented. Earlier this year, she took to social media to ask for prayers when the cancer made an aggressive return. Her family says she was admitted to hospital last week and has thanked the medical team that tried to save her life. She was an author and activist, and she's the granddaughter of struggle stalwarts Nelson and Winnie Mandela. So that's what's happened so far. Condolences to the Mandela family, and yeah, that's another tragedy. But she has been sick and she has had this cancer story for a very long time, but apparently she really kept it going because she wasn't hiding, or she wasn't sitting and feeling pity for herself. She used to document, she used to share, she used to, if there was even, yeah, yesterday, videos, social media status updates of hers, was things she wrote just before she passed away, or what videos she posted, what she wrote, and so on. So yeah, yeah, I don't know how to feel when it comes to cancer. It's one thing which really scares us as people, because it takes a time, and eventually it's the one which decides whether you are able to get rid of it or not. So once you get to have cancer, it's just something whereby it's like you are living with a ticking bomb. Anyway, condolences to the families. Now, on a lighter side, on the same day, okay, when she passed away, it was also the same day as her grandmother, Winnie Madikizela Mandela's birthday, her 87th birthday. And on that day of Winnie Madikizela's birthday, passing away of the granddaughter, the William, the what's where are we now? Okay, the Nicole. I'm trying to see some using the change of William Nicole Drive. So when the granddaughter passes away, the birthday of the grandmother, and then also William Nicole Drive was changed to Winnie Mandela Drive now. So there's no more William Nicole Drive. It's been changed, and the process took 4 years, and the motion was the motion was by the ANC. So yeah, and the ANC, and including EFF, actually most of the parties were celebrating and were joyous and happy that we're getting rid of apartheid history and putting in our own history and so on. And who was William Nicole? Nicole was an administrator in the former Transvaal who named a road after himself. That was who William Nicole was. He was an administrator for the former Transvaal, and he decided that let me call this street William Nicole Drive, and that's it. That's how the street got to be called William Nicole Drive. And yeah, family, I think that's all for today. As I said today, we're not gonna do too long. We'll keep it short. As I said, most of our regular stories are still closed, so we'll get back when everybody's back in the courts again. Thank you, family. Thank you for all the love and the support, and we shall see each other next week again. Please don't forget to comment, subscribe, like, and also share the video with your family or anybody which might be interested into the content which we have here. And thank you for all the love. I really appreciate it. And bye. See till next week. Bye bye.